Please, the floor is now open for question, contributions, or comments. Please, if you have any, kindly raise your hand up. I'll call you to unmute yourself and turn on your video to ask your question or make your comments. So while we are waiting for the audience to articulate their questions or comments, I have a question for you, Kasulu. So, my question is this: don't you think that humans are losing trust in themselves in a way that they trust AI more to tell AI their problems and seek advice from AI rather than their fellow humans? I want to know your take on this. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a very interesting question. I wouldn't say necessarily that human beings are losing trust, though maybe that could be part of the answer as well. But I think that people find generative AI to be more convenient. And I think I can also attribute this to what is happening with, for example, maybe I should use an example here. If students, for example, they use AI most of the time to write their assignments, what happens is that over time, there could be the fear that they could lose their writing abilities altogether. And now when it comes to human interaction, I think the more people use technology, what happens is that over time, they get more comfortable with the technology. So I think you're right. We could make an argument that this is also in part because human beings are losing trust in fellow human beings. That's why they're trusting machines. But I would say that if we take it from how things have been in traditional African societies, individuals have always believed in the knowledge systems as well as the elders of the community to provide them with ideas that really work. So I can say that I really understand your concern there that's been raised in your question. Is something that I think I may also have to think a lot more on. It's very interesting that you have posed that question. Thank you.
Thank you for your response. Please, this is time for questions, this is time for contribution, and this is time for comments. Let's make this section very engaging. So while we are still waiting, I know you have a question there to ask while you are still articulating it. I would want to ask a question to Jaja. And my question is this, Jaja. In what ways can African leaders or even Africans play a role in AI development?
I think Africans already play a role, a very important role in AI development. With what I discussed already with the reinforcement learning for human feedback, we do important jobs. It's just that those jobs are not given the recognition that those workers are not given the recognition that they deserve. Because we know that without human feedback, AI can give very biased or very, very immoral, results when being prompted. So these are important roles that we play. And we also provide raw materials for some hardware of AI systems like cobalt that is mainly gotten from Congo. But I have my reservations about the role we play. It's always like the generic behind the scenes role that we play with AI development. There is more that we can offer. And the more that we can offer is by contributing to the discourse on AI, because I think AI is one technology that is here to stay. And we can do that by bringing our nuanced African perspective to bear on how AI is going to progress in the future, or what the system would look like and how representative it would be. That is my answer to that. I hope I answered you well.
Thank you. Thank you for your response. Chukwueloka, please unmute yourself, ask your questions or make your contribution. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. My question goes to the second presenter who talked on Afro-communitarianism. And I want to ask, the solution provided by AI, is it practicable in Afro-communitarianism? For example, if an individual is having an identity crisis, is it possible for AI to solve that problem, telling the individual where you are from, your identity problem, and so on? That's my question.
Okay, thank you. Kasulu, please respond.
Thank you very much for that good question. I think I'd say that it's very difficult to say that AI can adequately respond to someone who is going through an identity crisis, as you have put it. However, I think that it is possible that to some degree individuals can get advice that may be practical, but the extent to which that can be the case, I think cannot be overemphasized. I think ultimately the community really matters. At least that's how I see it. I think people should think of these generative AI systems as something to complement what they actually get from the community, not to treat AI systems as a substitute for the support and everything that they can get from the community. So to answer the question generally, I'd say that it's very unlikely that AI systems can actually provide someone who is going through something serious as an identity crisis support, which can be fully practical. Thank you.
Thank you for your response. Rotimi, please unmute yourself and ask your question or make your contribution.
Okay, thank you. And thanks to the two presenters. But my question is going to the second presenter, Kasulu. Your name actually attracts my attention. So you presented generative AI as if that it constructed itself. It is not human, it is not divine to have generative AI. Human beings actually came up with that idea and actualized it. Don't you think that if a human person, or if I as a person is interacting with AI, I'm equally interacting with a human person or human beings indirectly? Are you making it as if that we are disconnecting completely with the whole concept of interdependency by interacting with AI?
All right. Thank you very much for that question. Yes, it's indeed true that generative AI was created by human beings, but I would be very skeptical to say that when you're interacting with generative AI, you are somehow indirectly interacting with a human being. The reason I'm saying that is if we can go back to understand the history of AI in general, artificial intelligence, what humans were interested in creating is some kind of an artificial mind of some kind. So we wanted to give the machines the ability to learn, to solve problems, to perceive their surroundings, to process language, and all that. So what happens is that with generative AI, they have this ability to learn from the content that they get. And what that means is that they can actually produce content which may not have necessarily been produced by the programmers that created the system in the first place. So there's some degree of autonomy, though I'm using the word autonomy loosely here, there is some degree of autonomy that these generative AI systems have. But somehow I would still agree with you that it's indeed true that since these systems were created by human beings, then we shouldn't treat them as that independent, because somehow they are also tethered or attached to these human beings that created them. I don't know if that response actually addresses the question that you raised.
Thank you for your response. The conversation can continue after the event. So I'll be calling on Boniface to unmute himself and ask his question.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, fine. I think I would like to thank Mr. Kasulu for his presentation, and also Jaja for her presentation. I thought I would just comment first and foremost that in terms of artificial intelligence, I think yeah, the question that was posed was more like, you know, the whole issue also of treating AI in terms of personhood. And Kasulu, I think, has ably answered that you can't more like replace a human being with AI in total. And another aspect that I would see also is that AI doesn't have when you're talking about, for example, values, morality, and what have you, you're looking at also the element of, for example, of sympathy, experiencing pain, experiencing even pleasure. You're not talking about the machine or AI just, you know, simulating things. No. But we're talking about what a human being really goes through when you talk about pleasure, when you talk about pain. And these lead to more like, you know, the pieces of advice that we give, for example, if we're advising anybody going through a crisis, all these things contribute to that. And therefore, AI cannot basically reach that kind of deeper level that we're talking about. I thought I would just mention that. I might be wrong, but that's my sense of it. And a question to Jaja. Also, your presentation was good. I was looking at uh, people being paid according to their skills than their what they have produced. You know, what is over there. You know, what you can actually see. I was wondering where will the money come from, you know? Because money doesn't just come from, you know, from the sky. Money is made from what you are able to produce and sell. So we can say, oh no, we pay people according to the skills they have. Yeah, we understand that when people are working, almost all their skills also come into play in one or another. You can't separate one skill from the other because some complications do arise in the process of doing your work, whether the work is very low or very high. There's kind of interaction of the kind of skills that you have. But one is how do you come up with the, for example, weighing the skills and seeing the interaction itself and being able to pay it, you know, properly. I was finding that a bit difficult. And also at the same time, when you don't look at what has been produced, where is the money going to come from to be able to pay people according to their skills? So I found that a bit problematic. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Jaja, please, can you respond so that we'll take the last question for this section?
Thank you very much, Boniface. That's a good question. It's a quite simple answer. I'll just answer where the money will come from. The tech industry makes billions of dollars, more than any other corporation we've seen has ever made. So there is money for that. So how do we remunerate the scale? It's basically what we've always done before. like I mentioned, these people that do the reinforcement learning are not just clicking boxes. And I have first-hand experience because I've been involved in that for a while before I stepped out of the program. And the reason, strangely, the reason why I couldn't continue is because it demanded serious, in some situations, serious coding skills that I didn't possess as a philosopher. So these people have coding skills. They also have, you need to also have an idea of ethics. So when the machine produces some answers or results, you're able to tell why this is unethical, and not just by saying it. You have to provide answers why you think is unethical. So you see, it's not like they are clicking boxes. You need to also have an understanding of the problem with the prompt. And is this reinforcement learning for human feedback workers or gig workers, that you're able to fine tune and come up with these prompts that generative AI or AI systems now put out there on how to prompt this machine, because they kept on prompting and came up with these prompts. And you can also prompt with codes, which through their work they came up with. So it's just a thing of whether we choose to value what they bring to the table or not. And I think society has always struggled with that. There are certain jobs in society, and maybe I'll be a little bit biased. Let's say with jobs that women do that people underrate because it's a woman's job, who is borderline cooking and whatever. We say no, it doesn't demand so much skill, or maybe because you can't see what goes into making those jobs, or like even basic disciplines. As us philosophers, someone with an ethical knowledge, you don't value them because you cannot see machines that they are developing. So if we can recall and come back to the table and discuss these things, we'll be able to, put out skills out there that these people can do. But however, there is a problem, because reinforcement learning for human feedback, you need a whole lot of workers to carry that out, because we're talking about the last ChatGPT, talking about 4 billion prompts. So how many workers will you need to employ and pay well to be able to, fine-tune something for 4 billion times? But I think these are conversations, adjustments that we need to make. Maybe more flexible work time, other than money, what other things these people can benefit from to make the working conditions better than they are now. Thank you.
Thank you for your response. Tabili, please unmute yourself and ask your question or make your contribution. Tabili. Okay, it seems like Tabili is not here.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Doctor. I have a question to our speaker who spoke about Afro-communitarianism and, talking about how generative AI can also be disruptive. The question is, I think our speaker is too quick to throw the baby out with the bathwater, because I feel like he should be looking at the balance. What is the kind of the balance that it can bring? And I love the question that you asked him, that could it be that we are losing trust in humans? Maybe, maybe not. Or it could just be the matter of human beings enhancing themselves, enhancing their productivity, enhancing their way of communicating with each other, maybe in a better way or anything like that. It could be a matter of assistance, for example. Why do we still need to walk around with assistance if you can just have your own generative AI that can generate your calendar and plan your things and all those? Should you have to hire someone for that? What if I don't have money to hire someone, but I have money to just have only my own device that can help me with that? I know those are efficiency, for example, conveniency, for example, so the question is that could it be that when the speaker is talking about that, he's too quick to eliminate this generative AI without actually looking at all the avenues which are linked to it, in a way that it's a matter of enhancing human beings in a way, and making communication more effective, convenient, and all those. Thank you.
Thank you. Kasulo, please respond.
Thank you very much for your question. I actually agree to the many insights that you have raised in your comment as well as question. Yeah, I think you're right. I think there is need for a balanced view on how AI is actually integrated in our lives. And you're right. I cannot emphasize the points that I've made. Yeah, I think that there's need for that kind of balance. Yeah, I think that's what I can say. I really appreciate the insights that you have raised there. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much to the speakers. I'm so sorry, I can see two hands up, but we have already taken more time in this section, and I'm so sorry. So I won't be calling you to ask your question or make your contribution. Thank you to all those that contributed, and thank you to all those that are also here to listen to these beautiful and interesting lectures by Jaja and Kasulu.